Let me bring in Morgan Chesky. You may have seen him there at that news conference in Utah. So, Morgan, a couple of things. We had known based on NBC News reporting that it was Robinson's parents who first suspected it may, in fact, have been their son when they saw some photographs that were released by law enforcement here. But what we just heard provides tremendous new detail on the conversations here, that it was Robinson's mother who said to his father, you know, we need to look into this further, who told police, I'm quoting here, that her son had started to lean more to the left. She's the one who said that Robinson was beginning to date his roommate here, his romantic partner. All of it, Morgan, as to you, these officials did not rule out the possibility of further charges to come, although we should note that the governor has previously suggested, law enforcement had said, they believed Robinson was largely acting alone.
Hallie, that is the belief right now, but investigators have made it very clear that there is still evidence that's being processed. There is still the potential for federal charges, particularly with Robinson's time spent online, the potential communication with individuals outside of state lines. That does open the potential door for federal charges. But we have a much better idea as to a very grim timeline, particularly with Robinson's own mother recognizing him from those images that were released by investigators, then going to his father, who agreed with her. And then I think it was so telling, Hallie, that phone call from the father to his own son following the fact that his son would not show him a photo of that rifle. And it was there that the suspect expressed the desire to take his own life. His parents convinced him to come to their home, and they talked him down from that and then called in a family friend, a retired investigator, who then in turn convinced him to turn himself in. And not only that, Hallie, but what was so crucial here is that family friend convinced Robinson to bring telling pieces of evidence with him so that investigators did not have to search his own parents' home. We had no idea as to the extent of the cooperation, at least on that front end, before he turned himself in late Thursday. He was booked into Utah County Jail last Friday morning, and following that, Hallie, investigators say that he has remained uncooperative, even placed in a special housing unit where investigators can keep an incredibly close eye on him. When I asked the county attorney here if he remains uncooperative, he wouldn't comment on that at this time, but we have a much more clear picture as to how this tragedy played out in real time here.
And how police narrowed in on this suspect, too. Morgan, another open avenue of investigation appears to be these online conversations, primarily through Discord, that the suspect had been having with others, right?
Yes, this was a place that he spent much time. We're told, particularly from friends and family and authorities, that he was online a large portion of his adult life, and that the FBI Director Kash Patel said this morning, Hallie, that there were at least 20 individuals in that Discord group that federal investigators were in the active process of reaching out to and question. Whenever Kash Patel was asked this morning, do you believe this suspect acted alone, he left the door open to the potential for there being more people. However, the evidence does suggest at this point in time that Robinson was a lone shooter, although investigators will stress that this is still early in this investigation, despite the fact we heard these charges listed today. And Hallie, I should just quickly add that among the charges that we weren't necessarily anticipating were the witness tampering. That's incredibly telling because it shows that Robinson reached out to that roommate, told them to delete the text messages, told them not to cooperate with authorities. And fortunately, though, authorities from the get-go have made it clear this roommate has been cooperative and has offered some very telling evidence here. Now,
we thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.